In this week's episode of Chateau Capers, Jane works on her camera skills. The creaky bedroom is finally getting new flooring, and we have to get up at the crack of dawn to work outside in the heatwave. In our sleepy corner of southwest France, it often seems like we have all the time in the world. But we don't. We are having our Chateau wedding on the 13th of September, and the countdown is on. In order for us to host most of our guests at the Chateau, we need to have installed 3 showers with basins and toilets. This means finishing the creaky bedroom and the confessional room. Several rooms, which are currently full of random things left behind from the previous owners, must be tidied enough to get the beds put in. The laundry room has to be converted into a usable bedroom with ensuite facilities for my parents. The swimming pool must be finished, filled, and all the plumbing and electrics for the pump house installed, and the terrace surrounding the pool must also be complete. The orangery must be transformed into a beautiful event space, decked out for a wedding with tables and enough chairs for everyone to sit down. So there is so much to do in such a short space of time, and we're also in the middle of a heatwave which saps one's ability to function. So yeah, we've got our work cut out. Whilst I was away in Cambridge practicing being a drunk Viking, Jane was busily painting what will become the dining room/lounge for the gîte, and when we're not letting it, the grand dining hall for the Chateau. Jane's phone is a little old and doesn't cope well with bad light.
This is a reminder of the colour scheme in the hallway, the big living room as it's going to be for the gîte, but currently it's a hallway full of stuff waiting to be deployed elsewhere. So it's always cluttered, but it won't be ultimately. But anyway, this yellow colour has been put all over this room and all over the main hallway, if you like, which is slightly smaller but has the grand staircase off it next door. But in this room, at very least, I am eradicating the yellow. So here you can see I started to cover up the yellow with a colour which is quite similar to what I've painted the lighter colour in the kitchen, which is next door. I didn't have a huge amount of choice, and Rory gets a bit cross with me for he thinks always choosing the same colours, which there's some truth in that. But I actually chose 4 paint colours before we left the UK. This is very specialised paint, suitable for the conditions that we have, with the walls being quite damaged with regard to not being breathable. So the last thing we wanted is to put back a non-breathable paint. We started to chip off the lower layers of the wall where they're quite damaged. In here, we're not doing a thorough job before the wedding. We are putting a coat of paint on to make it look nice, and we can chip more away later, but anything that's loose is being scraped off. This paint's really expensive. One of these big pots costs over £100. It's even more in France, so I didn't have a huge amount of choice, but I think the colour works really well. And I was looking on Farrow & Ball's website, and Farrow & Ball is the last word in beautiful colour palettes for period buildings. And they have a colour called Teresa's Green, which is not too far distant from this. And there was a beautiful example of it deployed in a magnificent drawing room with incredible ceilings. And the 3 colours that they'd used were Teresa's Green, a colour called Dead Salmon, which is very similar to the terracotta colour of the paving stones on the floor, and white. So I think I'm in good company. I think the colour palette does work. But with this paint, the cost is all in the pigment. So the darker, if you like, the more pigmented the paint, the more expensive it is. So, you know, I'm working within our means what we can afford to do. If in the future we want to change it, then we change it. But for now, it's all about covering up the yellow, and I think it's going to look so much better. I've covered over the first of the 2 banana yellow columns, which are very odd. To me, it seems very odd to have a column inside a room. However, I've also been watching A Handmaid's Tale. I don't know if you've seen it, and in that they show some very beautiful, very opulent interiors of grand houses in America. And some of those have got pillars inside inside the building. So I guess it is a way to add grandeur. To me, I still think it's a bit strange. But there we are. Rory and I don't tend to destroy things or damage things unless they don't work, they don't function, or they're absolutely hideous. I think these are odd, but I thought making them white would make a big difference, and I think it has. So that's what we're doing for now. This is the second banana split column, and I've already put the aqua colour on either side of it, but you can see the yellow there and there is what we're covering over. So I've already gone around it with the aqua colour, but this is the second and last of the banana split columns. We've got two red pink ones in the kitchen, which are, if anything, even more odd. But yeah, so this is goodbye. This is going to go white.
Because it was far too hot to work in the blazing sun, we got up very early to start work on the coping stones around the pool. The first job was to fit the cornerstones. Once they were in place, we moved on to the rectangular pieces. We only managed to lay 6 stones before the sun was too strong and we had to go back indoors.
I was making a start laying the new oak floorboards in what was the creaky bedroom. The thing that seemed to take the longest was deciding which length floorboard to use next. If I used up all the longer ones first, then I'd be left with a load of short ones, which wouldn't look right if they were laid together. I've nearly got 4 rows down, but my drill bit that I was doing my pilot holes with has just snapped. But it's 25 to 10, so I'm going to call it quits now. I'm soaked with sweat. It's just like working in a sauna at the minute. So, we've had quite a good day. Jane's been doing some painting downstairs, and this morning we both worked on the coping stones. We've got the first 6 coping stones down around the pool. Tomorrow, if we get up early enough and it's cool enough, maybe we'll mix up some more adhesive and do a few more, because it'd be really good to make that start to look like a pool. And when I get time tomorrow also, I'll just keep rattling through this, because the sooner it's done, the sooner we feel like we've made a really big landmark movement forwards. Getting this floor back down will be brilliant. And then onto the plumbing and the shower and all the problems that are going to come with turning this part of the room into a bathroom. So that'll be fun. Right, I'm going to shower, but not there, over there. It might only be 4 rows, but I can already see that it will look nice when it's complete. Ugh, Rory's dripped sweat everywhere. The demon sun is just popping up over the hill. It's nice and cool at the minute, so I've probably got maximum of an hour to get as much done around the pool as I can before it just gets too hot. I'm being followed around by an almost black panther. He's ginormous. He could tear at my ankles. She's my substitute spaniel helper this morning. She's following me round whilst I go to do some work.
So we've started the pool coping stones. I've been placing them out and we started to put them in. Rory's doing all the technical work. I'm doing some of the cleanup as we go along, and it's looking amazing.
Laying these stones is definitely a job for 2 people, especially as we haven't yet backfilled the pool walls with gravel, so there is a 30 to 40 centimetre trench all the way around. We'd stretched the plumb line across the front edge of the coping stones to ensure they were perfectly aligned from one side to the other. We did discover, however, that the stones sometimes move slightly forwards or backwards. I'm not sure why, perhaps something to do with trapped air inside the adhesive or contractions of the adhesive as it cured. Anyway, we had to check and recheck they hadn't moved several times before they dried.
Even after taping up the anchor recess, some of the adhesive inevitably found its way in. We needed to remove it before it hardened, and the best way I found was to scrape it out using wire.
We're making some really good progress with the floor. But we're in another heat wave at the minute, so it's a real humid heat wave, so it's just so debilitating to work in. But I'm almost halfway across the room. Now that doesn't mean I've done half the flooring, because the whole shower room section isn't going to have this flooring. It's going to be tiled. So I technically haven't done half of it yet, but I'm almost halfway across the room. I'm going to have to break now because I'm getting very dehydrated, and I'm really pleased. It looks lovely. I think it's going to look really nice. Obviously this room is never going to look nice until the walls are done and the ceiling's been patched, etc. But when the floor's in and then we build the walls and we've got a shower room, that's going to look spectacular. So much better than where it was 4 weeks ago, whenever it was we started ripping this up. It's been a long journey. Right. I'd hurt my back laying the coping stones on the first day, as I'd been reaching across the gap from the ground to the pool walls to lay them in place. I actually had to have half a day off to rest my back, but now I had a plan. It was quite simple really, build a scaffold platform. So I did.
I prepped the work area by taping off the anchor recess that we will be feeding the liner into to help prevent the tile adhesive clogging it up. We then started laying from the cornerstones towards the centre. We knew each wall would need one stone to be cut down, and we decided to put each cut stone in the middle of the wall.
This is our third day of doing these tiles, because we can only really do it in the morning because we've got a heat wave at the moment, and so the temperature quickly gets up into the mid to high 30s. Yesterday I think it got to about 40. Today it's going to be 40 as well. So by 10 o'clock it's just unbearable. So we're up out of bed at 6:30 to get this done. It used to be easy getting up at 6:30 before I moved to France. Now I don't want to. But it's Jane's first day of tiling. Unless you've done tiling without me knowing.
I've done a tiny bit of tiling, but not recently.
So keen-eyed tilers out there will wonder why Jane's properly tiling the back of this stone instead of just buttering it up, which is basically just putting a layer of the adhesive on, which would look rather like what I'm doing. We're both doing it because we want a relatively thick layer, and any excess we can just weight the tile down until it gets to the level we want. But we'd rather, because they're hard and they're big and they're heavy and they're difficult to maneuver, we'd rather have too much and it all squeeze out than have too little and have to take it off again and redo it, which we had to do that once yesterday. It wasn't much fun. Okay.
We've got to flip it.
We've got to flip it, so we can stand it up if you like. That's it. It'll get easier from here because I won't be straddling the steps. A little bit more lip. That's it.
It's a bit low.
It is a bit low. After all that. That's a pain. I've got this. If you could possibly try and lift your end up. That's it. The sun was rising rapidly, and in order to keep to our deadline, we needed to get as many stones laid as possible. We needed to work quickly and efficiently, which isn't always our speciality. As it happens, we smashed our personal best, completing one of the pool's long walls, one of the short walls, and starting a third. Well done, us. As each wall will have one shortened coping stone, we decided to leave those to last. By the time the sun turned the dial up to 11, we only had one side left to do. Tomorrow is another day. Flies are down. As per usual at the moment, I'm covered in sweat again. But we've had a really cracking morning. We've got as much done today as we did over the last 2 days. We were up a bit earlier than the other 2 days. And so we've really, and especially putting the scaffolding down in there has really helped. It's made it so much easier. Because I hurt my back on the first day, I think lifting the stones and lowering them. So yesterday was a real trouble. Today's easing a bit, but if I stick my thumb in, it really hurts. Perhaps I ought to not stick my thumb in. Anyway, we've got a lot of it done. So tomorrow we really hope we can just work hard, finish that last back run there, and then there's just the stones. Each run has to have a stone that's chopped down a bit. We've done one of them, so we'll have 3 to do tomorrow, and then that's the coping stones finished, and that will be amazing. Because after that, we just have to do some silicone sealing, tidy it all up, clean it all up, make it all nice and lovely, and then time for the liner, which will be very exciting. So, by the end of next week, I'd hoped it would be this week, but since today is Saturday, by the end of next week, we should be filling. Anyway, it's too hot to carry on. It's just after 10. The dogs haven't been walked yet. They want to go and jump in the river, which is what I'd like to do, but maybe not today. And I'll catch you in a while.
My country, my damn country, give me my country, you can keep the rest. This is my country, my damn country, and it don't mean a thing if it don't pass the test. If you ain't never done something you regret, well then I'm proud of you. Now get it.
The floorboards we'd ordered came in various different lengths and in various quantities per length. There was a bias towards some of the smaller lengths. I separated them all into roughly equal piles for the remaining runs left to do in the room. This took away some of the decision making from Rory, so he was able to speed up the process of fitting the floorboards. I didn't have enough of the green paint to do the whole room, so I switched to Cambridge blue for what will be the sitting room area. I find it very soothing, especially when compared with the electric yellow. In my paint store, I found this dark blue with a hint of green, which I think is going to work very well to add some depth and richness. It's not one of the breathable pigments, but this wall doesn't seem to show any damp damage, so I think it will be okay. Obviously, more coats are needed.
Back in the ex-creaky bedroom, I was working hard to get as many rows completed as I could before my knees gave out. There came a point when I could do no more, mainly because there was no subfloor. So I boldly chopped and shaped the wood. It's still not doing my knees any good. Eventually, every part of my body was vying for #1 spot in the Who Hurts the Most top 10 charts, so I had to give it a rest.
It looks really, really beautiful. It's a transformation in terms of the fact that it's safe and sound and protected underneath and all of that, and solid and no squeaks. It's a really beautifully put down floor, Rory, and you've laid it out magnificently. It looks wonderful.
last stone is in.
Amazing.
It's in.
It's in. The pool coping stone.
We've done it.
We've done it. Fair bit of tidying up to do. But it's done. It looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
A lot. Well, next week, I don't know if the camera can see me at all or not. No, it can. Next week, we are expecting some really heavy rain on Tuesday. And Tuesday was the day we thought we'd probably put the liner in. And we can't really do that if it's raining hard. Or after Tuesday, if there's a centimetre of water sitting at the bottom of the pool, that might be a little bit tricky to lay the liner as well. So we're hoping to bring forward the liner laying to tomorrow morning, which means we've got a lot to do to get this. Has to be perfectly clear. I've got to seal all the gaps around the pool, anywhere that air might be able to escape from, because to put the liner in, you sort of vacuum seal it against the wall. So you have to put a vacuum in one edge to help suck the air out to get all the ripples and that. So it's going to be a tricky job, and we've got to get it done before Tuesday.
But then we can start to fill.
Then we can start to fill. And then we'll be filling by the end of next week.
We'll be full.
We'll be in it.
We've achieved results we can be proud of this week, but as the weather is bringing our schedule up by a day, I needed to sweep the pool floor so Rory can seal the edges with silicone ready to fit the liner tomorrow. The coping stones are finished and we're super happy with how they look. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon.